Questions for reflection. Our first reading is taken from the second book of Kings in the Old Testament. We heard excerpts from the 11th chapter. First, some context. Israel had strayed from the Lord, but in spite of their idolatry and sin, God's plan for them is not thwarted. A woman named Athaliah reigned for a time over Judah, and her son had been killed. So she destroyed all of the royal family, all except for a child named Joash. He was hidden and later crowned king of Judah at the age of 7. He reigned for 40 years, and the lineage of David was preserved. One principle we can learn from this is that the Lord has a sovereign plan, not only for his people, but for each one of us. As we grow in our relationship with him, we need to ask him to reveal that plan and to give us the grace we need to respond to it and to put his plan first in our lives. The psalmist David, in our responsorial psalm, taken from Psalm 132, echoes this vital promise, and I quote, "The Lord has chosen Zion for his dwelling." He swore to David he'd set his offspring on the throne, and the Lord fulfilled that promise in its fullness in Jesus Christ. The church is the new Israel, and Jesus is the King. We are citizens of that new Israel, and he has chosen us for his dwelling. Our gospel is taken from the 6th chapter of the Gospel of St. Matthew. Jesus is continuing his instructions to his disciples following his Sermon on the Mount in chapter 5. And in the verses before this teaching on treasure, he has taught the disciples how to pray. And from that text, we derive the prayer called the Our Father. And he's spoken to them about fasting. In these portions, he tells them, quote, "Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also." The heart, in the biblical and theological sense, is the center of the person. The Catechism says it's the seat of the moral personality, in paragraph 2517. It's where we make the choices which, in effect, make us. We become what we set our hearts upon. Jesus is the one who has the claim of primacy to our hearts. He is to become our treasure. How are we doing? Who or what do we treasure?